الله أكبر الله أكبر.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. يقول الله تعالى في القرآن الكريم بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتون إلا وأنتم مسلمون. وقال كذلك يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به وأرحم إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. فإن الأصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة دلالة وكل دلالة في النار. We just wanted to talk briefly about belief in the last day. And it's very important that we kind of go over the beliefs just internally with ourselves from time to time, especially the essential beliefs that make us Muslim. And one of the great things about being Muslim, to me, and inshallah people agree, is that we believe in a creator who is Al-Mannan. So Allah is Al-Mannan, and Al-Mannan is a beautiful attribute that you might not find on the list, the 99 names of Allah list. So Imam at-Tirmidhi rahimahullah, he narrated a famous hadith in which the Prophet ﷺ said, of Allah's names there are 99, and anybody who preserves those 99 names, Allah will build for him a palace in paradise. And then Imam at-Tirmidhi went on to say, and these 99 names are, and he gave 99 names. Those are the names that we see on the list, but that was his opinion. That's not part of the hadith. So Allah has more than 99 names. So the hadith is, what it's doing is it's exhorting the Muslim to contemplate the names of Allah. So when it says anybody who preserves these 99 names, it's not just to say Allah is Ar-Razak. I memorized it. So you memorize 99 names and then you say, okay, I'm good. But when we preserve these names, we have to ponder those names in our daily life. So when we say Allah is Al-Alim, He's the all-knowing. When we ponder that in our daily life, before we do an action, it comes to our mind, okay, Allah knows about this action. And since Allah knows about this action, I should think, is this action going to please Allah, or will Allah be displeased with this action? And then if Allah is displeased with the action, we should stay away from the action. So when we've preserved Al-Alim, Allah's name, then this is the type of attitude that we have. So when we think about Allah's the provider, He's Ar-Razak, and we think about that in our daily lives, then we think You know, the markets might go up, the markets might go down, unemployment might go up, unemployment might go down, but Allah is my provider. So no matter what the economic situation looks like, I still rely on Allah. Allah is going to make sure that I'm eating. A lot of times we start panicking with a refrigerator full of food. You open up the refrigerator and we got food, but we're thinking, man, what am I going to do about this and what am I going to do about that? Allah is your provider. So when you think about his names, when you preserve his names, you want to actually ponder those meanings. And Al-Manan is one of the beautiful names of Allah that doesn't always appear on the list. So sometimes it gets overlooked. But it's in the Quran, in the verbal form. Allah says, "In nuridu, in namuna ladina stadifu fil ard." And we wanted, Allah is talking about himself with the royal we, and we wanted to show preference to those who have been made weak in the earth. So this is El-Manan. So El-Manan is the one who gives, even though the one who's getting it didn't do anything to earn it. So Allah is the one who will give blessings to us, even though we didn't do anything to earn those blessings. He'll just give it to us, because that's part of his nature. That's his name, Al-Manan. He gives to us even when we don't ask for things. We just look up and say, I wasn't even expecting this. This was a blessing that I wasn't even expecting. And that blessing comes from Allah, and Allah is Al-Manan. That's one of his attributes. So when we think about the 99 names of Allah, we shouldn't just think of it as, I'm going to look at this list and just memorize these names rote, like our children learn Quran. We send our children to Quran school, and they memorize Quran rote. They just, you know what I'm saying? They can spit it all out, but they don't ponder it because they're kids. Once you become an adult, you shouldn't still be just spitting out the ayats. Oh, it's time to pray. Allahu Akbar. You should actually be thinking about what you're saying when you're saying it. And when you do that, Allah builds you a house in paradise. And the way we're going to get to that house, what stands between our palaces in paradise and our life now, is Yawmul Qiyamah. And this is one of the essential beliefs of the Muslim. As a Muslim, if you don't believe in the day of resurrection, you've nullified your faith. Because this is one of the essential things that make us Muslim, is we believe in the last day. And not only that, the Quraysh, the people who were fighting against the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, think about Abu Jahl, Abu Lahab, those big name guys, the big enemies of the Messenger of Allah. They believed in Allah. They believed in Allah. Allah in the Quran, he testifies. He says, if you was to ask them who created the heavens and the earth, they would say Allah. But at the same time, when it was brought to them to say that they would be raised and judged for their deeds, they would say, after we die and become dust, we're going to be raised up. This is far-fetched for them. And as Muslims, the reason why it's important that we believe in the last day is because it checks our behavior in this world. Because if you don't think that there's a reckoning coming, then you do whatever you want to do. Then you say, okay, this might be illegal, but ain't no police around. I can get away with it. What keeps you morally grounded, well, one of the things, is that you know that you're going to stand in front of your Lord. And Allah is going to resurrect everybody. And they're going to be barefoot, uncircumcised, and naked. And when Aisha, she heard about this, she was like, wait a minute, because she was a Muslim woman, she was shy. Muslims should be shy, Muslim men and women. We shouldn't participate in things that are going to take away from our nobility. People should see us and say, this person right here is noble. I ain't never seen his belly button. He ain't never been flexing his chest muscles all out on TV, running around. They say, okay, this is a Muslim brother right here. He don't do that stuff. And the same with our sisters. People should be like, them sisters is different. When everybody else is taking off everything, they're staying modest and humble. So Aisha, she said, will I be naked in front of everybody on the day of judgment? And the Prophet ﷺ said, people will be so worried about the reckoning that they're having, they won't notice each other's nakedness. They'll be so worried on that day. So even though there'll be millions and millions of people, we shouldn't feel like we're going to be able to kind of hide out. I spend a lot of time teaching in the classroom and a lot of time studying in classrooms. Sometimes when you got a full class of people, you feel like, okay, I can hide out. I didn't do my homework. I just kind of sit behind this guy. He got his hand up. He'll answer the questions. You ever have one of them teachers that you don't raise your hand and she still call on you? That's going to be the day of judgment. It's going to be multiplied that by 5 million, because everybody's going to be asked on the day of judgment. And the day is so prestigious that the scholars of Islam say that the day has more than 50 different synonyms. So in the Arabic language, we tell something's important by how many synonyms it has. Like we just got through talking about Allah's 99 names. Allah has more than 99 names, but just if you just take 99 different names for Allah, you know that Allah has importance in Islam. If you take a lion is a very prestigious animal. And in the Arabic language, you have the word Asad. You meet a brother, his name, my name is Asadullah. You say, what does Asadullah mean? The lion of Allah. You say, MashaAllah. Then you meet another brother, he say, my name is Durgam. You say, what does Durgam mean? Durgam means lion, brother. Say, man, I thought Asad meant lion. Asad does mean lion. Durgam is a lion before it pounces on its prey. When you see a lion like this, that's Durgam. So you know that a lion is important because of the many different names that it has. Abbas, the Prophet's uncle was named Abbas. Abbas is a type of lion in the Arabic language. Hamza, the Prophet ﷺ had a uncle named Hamza. Hamza is a type of lion in the Arabic language. So we know that when the day of judgment, one of the things that gives us a peek into its importance is it has over 50 different names. Yom al-Akhir, the last day. Ain't gonna be no other days after that. After the last day, it's just eternity. It ain't no more 24 hours, 7 days a week, going to the job 5 days a week. The last day is that stuff is finished. It's either gonna be, they'll still have Friday, because that's the day that we, go and be able to see Allah's countenance. But the rest of the, it's just this paradise. Ain't gonna be like, man, is it Monday? You in paradise, you don't need to watch, because it's all good. Know what I'm saying? And then the people who don't make it to paradise, It's not gonna be, oh, it's Monday, it's Tuesday. It's just burning. And when the skin burns off, it's replaced. And this is why as Muslims, we gotta say, what do I gotta do to keep from going to Jahim, to the hellfire? Allah also, he says, Yom al-Qiyamah, the day of standing. He says, Al-Haqqa, the reality. So we think we live in the real world now, but on the day of judgment, it'll be the real reality. Because friends who think that you think this is really my friend, on the day of judgment, you won't want to be nowhere near that guy. You be like, this guy and me, we was bosom buddies. On the day, Allah says, on that day, friends won't be friends except those who had taqwa. So if you meeting with somebody doing something that's haram, on the day of judgment, you'll be running from that person. And when we think about the day of judgment, we just come forward, inshallah. When we think about the day of judgment, we should know that everybody will be questioned. So nobody will be able to get around it. And the first thing, the Prophet saw something, he said, and this is like a very important thing to realize about what we can do to make our lives better and to make our hereafter better. The Prophet ﷺ, he said on the day of judgment, the first thing everybody will be asked about is his prayer. As-salah. How is your prayer? We should ask ourselves that now in the dunya. We should say, how is my prayer? Because that's the first thing. And then the Prophet ﷺ, he went on to say, anybody whose that question isn't found wanting, no question he's asked after that will be found wanting. And anybody who doesn't have his prayer right, no question after that will be right. It's the litmus test. If your prayer is not right, then there's nothing going to be right in your life. You be like, man, I'm depressed. Things ain't going right for me. My marriage is messed up. My kids won't listen. And the Prophet ﷺ said the first thing you'll be asked about is your prayer. If your prayer is right, your life is right. If your prayer isn't right, your life isn't right. And it don't matter how much money you got in the bank. So as Muslims today, everybody who hears this khutbah, including me, we just say, what can I do to make sure on the day of judgment my prayer is correct? And by right, it means that you're praying it with khushu. I mean, it's like, I don't want to go over salat, but it's 13 prerequisites that you got even before you start praying. And so, we just learn prayer from a book. May Allah bless and give a big paradise, firdaus, to Imam Tajuddin Shu'aib, who probably taught 1 million people how to pray in America with his books. Prescribed Prayers Made Simple. Anybody who used that book to pray, raise your hand right now. Anybody who got your hand up, you should say, may Allah bless the late Imam Tajuddin Shu'aib, because every time I pray, he's going to get a reward for it. Because he wrote a book. He said, I'm going to make this prayer simple. You read the title and you be like, because when you first become Muslim, people speak in different languages. You like, wait a minute, there's a lot going on. He said, I'm going to make this simple. And it came with tapes. The other day I was talking to my son. I said, it was on a tape. He said, Daddy, that's not a tape. Because, you know, for kids, tape is like what you stick stuff up on the wall with. But we used to have, before they had CDs, we used to have cassette tape players. And he had a cassette tape player. You would get it with the book, and it would teach you how to pray. May Allah bless Imam Tajuddin Shuaib. And we should take that book out, and we should go over it. We should say, what does it mean what are these prerequisites? Be like, the brother said it was 13 of them. I need to figure it out. So that way I know even before I start praying whether or not I'm covering all my bases. So on the day of judgment, because it's an important thing, like everybody should be an expert on how to pray. We don't have to be an expert on inheritance law in Islam. We don't have to be an expert on, contracts in Islam. We don't have to be an expert on marriage in Islam. You got to be an expert on how to pray, because that's the most important thing in your life, according to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And sometimes we might be praying our 5 daily prayers on time, but we like, wait, my life still ain't going right. And it's because we're not actually making sure our prayers are correct and acceptable. We just we learned something 15, 20 years ago, and we just been kind of doing it, parroting it ever since. We don't even ponder, like, what am I saying when I'm saying Surah Al-Fatiha? It shouldn't just be like a race. Like they used to have this rapper from Chicago named Twista. Sometimes I be like, man, that sound like Twista making salat, because it just be super fast. We should actually take our time and slow down and ponder what we saying, and that way we'll be ready on the day of judgment when we're asked about the prayer, Aqulu Qawli Hadha wastaghfirullah li wa lakum. Alhamdulillah, wassalat wassalam ala Rasulullah wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man wala wa ba'd. So we just wanted to end with a hadith, and we'll kind of paraphrase it because it's rather kind of lengthy hadith. But there were some of the tabi'een were together one day, and one of them's name was Sa'id, and he was a great student of Ibn Abbas. And he said, who saw the shooting star last night? And so one of the other people said, I saw the shooting star, but it wasn't because I was praying. I had been bit by a scorpion. And so, like nighttime and the time of the Prophet and the years after, before TVs and stuff, if people were up at night, they were usually praying. So this person, he didn't want the people, even though praying is a good thing, he didn't want to mislead the people, say, yeah, I saw the shooting star. He knew the people would assume, oh, well, he must have been praying. Said, yeah, I saw the shooting star, but it wasn't because I was praying. I had been bit by a scorpion, so I was up. And so then Science said, well, what did you do when you were bit? He said, I asked somebody to perform ruqya. And ruqya sometimes is translated remedy, but ruqya is like a spiritual remedy. So it's like have people recite certain ayats of Quran, recite dua over you when you're sick to try to help cure you. And so Sa'id said, well, where did you get this from? Why do you have ask somebody to perform ruqya? And, when you ask somebody to perform ruqya, it's different from I'm sick and I'm performing it on myself. I'm just asking Allah to cure me. I'm making dua. If you ask somebody else to do it, that's different because you're bringing somebody else in. So he said, where'd you get this from? And he said, well, I was narrated a hadith where the Prophet ﷺ said, Ruqya can be performed for poisonous bites and the evil eye. So he said, it's good that you practice what you heard, but I could tell you something even better that you can practice next time. And so he said that the Prophet ﷺ, he told his companions, he said, all of the people, all of the prophets were brought in front of me. And we can imagine that this was the Day of Judgment, because one of the names of the Day of Judgment is Yom Ad-Din, the day when all of the different religions will be right there for everybody to see. You'll have Buddhists there, you'll have Christians there, you'll have Rastafarians. Rastafarians will be at the Day of Judgment. Can you believe that? Everybody gonna be there at the Day of Judgment. Every deen that ever was on the earth, even if nobody was there, or two people followed it, it'll be there on the Day of Judgment. So the Prophet ﷺ said, all of the prophets were brought in front of me, and I seen some prophets and they had like a handful of followers. And I saw other prophets and they had 2 or 3 people who followed them. And I saw one prophet, he came and nobody followed him. He was by himself. He's out there doing dawah. Like, we think we have it hard sometimes. This brother was giving dawah, calling people to Allah, and none of his people followed him. And on the Day of Judgment, he'll be by himself, a messenger of Allah. And then the Prophet ﷺ said, I saw a prophet who had a multitude of followers. And I asked, is this me and my followers? And I was told, no, this is Musa alayhi salat wassalam and his followers. And on the Day of Judgment, Musa, of all of the prophets other than the Prophet Muhammad, Musa will have probably the biggest group, the children of Israel. So then the Prophet said he was told to look at the horizon, and he saw an ummah that filled the whole horizon. And he was told, that's you and your followers. That's us on the Day of Judgment. Gonna fill the whole horizon. That's how many Muslims it'll be. Even though the Prophet ﷺ was the last prophet sent, he'll have most of the followers on the Day of Judgment. And then the Prophet was told, and of these followers, of this ummah, there's 70,000 that'll enter into paradise without hisab. So hisab is the reckoning or the accounting. You might know brother Hasib. That means the one who's always accounting in the exaggerated form. So he'll get into paradise, 70,000 people, without being questioned. So they just get the express ticket, like you know how you go, if you're a frequent flyer at the airport, you ain't got to wait in the line. You just go through that boom and get right on the plane. 70,000 people like that going to paradise. And then he got up and he left. And the Sahaba started to debate with each other, who are these 70,000 people that's going to paradise without being questioned? This is like a great honor, because anybody who took a test like the SAT test or the ASFABs to enter the military, you know that sometimes just waiting for the result is its own torment. You sitting there saying, man, my whole college is riding on this. I hope I did a good job. Or my MOS, I don't want to be a grunt when I get into the military. I want to be an engineer. I want to be a there's a pilot, not a pilot, but what's the people who do you guys know what I'm talking about. Alhamdulillah. You want one of the good MOSs. So you worried. So if you get to go without even that type of worry. So the Sahaba was saying, who gonna be these people? And so when the Prophet ﷺ came back, he saw them. When people talk religion, they get kind of like, they pump it up a little bit. So he said, wait, what's going on? What are you guys talking about? And they said, we want to know who's going to go to paradise without questioning, without an accounting, the express lane. And the Prophet ﷺ said, these 70,000 people are the ones who they don't believe in omens. So if they see something, they don't tie that thing with what's going to happen in their destiny or their fate. They see a black bird and they say somebody going to die today. They don't do that. They don't have those types of beliefs. These 70,000 people, they don't ask for people to perform ruqya on them when they get sick. They don't do it. Not saying you can't do it, because the other hadith said you could do it. But if you want to go to paradise without questioning, you don't do it. These 70,000 people, they don't cauterize themselves. So cauterization, and like now even today they have acupuncture, where they got these different points and they stick it with a needle. In the time of the Prophet ﷺ, they would take hot iron rods and stick it on different pressure points of people when they were sick to cure them. I think they still might do it in some places in the world, but if you want to go to paradise without being questioned, you don't do that either. And then the Prophet ﷺ, he tied all of those things together. He said, these people only put their faith in Allah. They don't put their faith in omens. They don't put their faith in other people to, recite incantations over them. They don't put their faith in different types of medicine. When I'm sick, I'm going to ask Allah to cure me, because Allah is the only one who could do it. When I'm out of work, I'm not saying I'm out of work because of some omen I saw, or somebody says, no, I'm out of work because Allah don't want me to be at work right now. And when Allah wants me to have a job, I had a job.
للمسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب ربنا افرغ علينا صبرا وثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين ربنا افرغ علينا صبرا وثبت أقدامنا وتوفنا مسلمين واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من الهم والحزن ونعوذ بك من العجز والكسل ونعوذ بك من الجبن والبخل ونعوذ بك من غلبة الدين وقهر الرجال اللهم قسم لنا من خشيتك ما تحول به بيننا وبين معاصيك ومن طاعتك ما تبلغنا بها جنتك وما يهون من الجنة اللهم إنا نسألك الهدى والتقى والغنى والعفاف والمغفرة اللهم اجعل في قلوبنا نورا وفي أبصارنا نورا وفي أسمائنا نورا وعلى لسان وعلى ألسنتنا نورا وبين أيدينا نورا ومن خلفنا نورا وعن أيماننا نورا وعن شمائلنا نورا ومن فوقنا نورا ومن تحتنا نورا اللهم اجعلنا جميعا أنوار الهدى أنوار الثبات أنوار الهداية أنوار النصيحة يا الله يا الله يا رحمن يا رحيم يا رحمن يا رحيم يا الله يا الله يا الله إنا نسألك ذلك بحبك لنبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم اللهم إننا نسألك حبك وحب من يحبك وحب العمل الذي يبلغنا حبك. أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. أكم الصلاة يرحمني ويرحمكم الله.